Why Western governments all over the world love illegal migration. Today we discuss.
Welcome to Venezuela Insider, the only place in Venezuela for expats, digital nomads, entrepreneurs, investors, travelers, and related internationals. For more information, venezuelainsider.com.
There are a lot of factors that many people don't understand about migration, and it comes from mostly Western nations that many people don't understand why so many illegal migrants are coming to their home country. For instance, you see the border crisis that we have on the United States, on the south of the border, that has always existed, actually. That happens all the time. Many people from less developed nations, mostly from Latin America, they want to cross Rio Grande and cross the border in order to be legal in the United States and become gardeners or waiters or things like that. The typical cliche. And you're seeing the same thing in Western Europe, the people coming from Africa and Middle East or places in the Middle East in order to migrate. And also there's a particular issue on that particular migration because they are mostly Muslims and they don't adapt to the local culture that is more open-minded and so on. And they commit crimes that are not crimes on their home countries. And of course, I can understand that particular issue, but I'm not going to address that on this particular video. Very good. The bottom line is many people, especially the less refined, less educated people, the less successful people on those countries complain why this is happening. And of course, they compete with jobs, they take away jobs or opportunities and so on. And what most people don't know, that migration is a net positive for each country. And what happens is that when you receive a migrant, first, you receive someone that is already most likely a grown adult, so is already educated, is already trained in order to basic skills and so on. And when they are in the country until a certain time, they also learn the language. So they are bilingual at least. So many skills that, of course, in order to create value for an economy, you need skills. So these people come with skills and the will to use those skills in order to, of course, achieve a way better standard of living that they had on their home country. Very good. Something I have to say for most people is migrants don't go to any given country for their benefits, anything like that. Because, okay, no one is going to migrate for better healthcare. They're going to migrate to another country or more developed nation because they want better job opportunities, better economic opportunities, increase their standard of living. And actually, there has been a ton of studies regarding migration. They are less likely to commit crimes, more likely to become entrepreneurs. They are more successful entrepreneurs. Their kids, their sons, are better in school, more likely to become white-collar professionals, doctors, lawyers, accountants, businessmen, you name it. So it's very important for a country to receive migration. Actually, most successful countries all over the world and all over history, they need migrants because they need more skilled people. I mean, it's like, imagine you have a sports team, a football team, or a basketball team. You want the most talent in your own roster, and the talent pool in your home country, most likely, you will have talent, of course, but also you are stealing the talent from other countries. So that's good news. However, the migration law on these particular countries is awful and don't allow legal migrants in order to come to the country because it's made by inept, idiotic bureaucrats that they don't know what they're doing, or just populist politicians, because illegal migrants especially, they become a scapegoat for all of the trouble that occurs in a country, because you can blame migrants without losing votes, because most likely migrants don't vote, the ones that are illegal. The bottom line is you have to blame your politicians, not your migrants. And the structure in order to get legal migrants in a country is dreadful because it's made by dumb bureaucrats. So that expels the good talent pool from your home country. On this particular case, let's say the United States, where many legal migrants come to the country. Meanwhile, the legal migrants, the talented people, the engineers, the IT, the entrepreneurs, and so on, they cannot stay because they have to go through a bureaucratic process that they don't want to go through. So they go back to their home country, or they migrate to a more friendly legal migration scheme. And what happens is the United States loses that talent, and they go and make money and they create value someplace else. Meanwhile, the legal migrant still coming because the legal migrant, they care about being a law-abiding citizen. So because they're talented, they don't have to become beggars on your home country. They just go to another country and do their thing. They're gonna be successful because they're valuable people, and that's it. Meanwhile, the illegal migrant is so desperate that they don't care about legality because they just want to, they crave to have the opportunity to live in a more developed nation. So they just jump the border or whatever they do, or they just overstay their visa application, whatever may be the case. They overstay on the country, and that's it. They don't care about being illegal. So when you blame illegal migrants, you have to blame your home authorities, because those are the responsible, not the migrants. The migrants work what they have. The other thing you have to take into consideration, probably this is the biggest one, and this is going to answer the question of the video, is that why governments love illegal migrants? Well, it's economics, and it's due to inflation. You have seen high rates of inflation in the United States and Western Europe and most developed nations, and all nations overall. They printed a lot of money. The governments love to print money because of an economic mechanism that is known in economics as the Cantillon effect. Because when you print money, the more purchasing power is for the people that are close to power. The politicians, the businessmen close to power, and so on. And when they print the money and spread it out, when the money arrives to the average citizen, what happens? The money is the value. It has less purchasing power. So what happens is that, of course, the governments want to create inflation because they are stealing. Inflation is a way to stealing money from the average population. It's a hidden tax on an economy, but they don't want to overdo it because you destroy the value of the currency of the home country, and you destroy the confidence on the economics of this particular country. Let's say United States or any Western nation, a Western European nation. So one way you can keep inflation down is, because most likely inflation is due for money printing, is, always and everywhere a financial phenomenon. And I'm sorry, I butchered the phrase of Milton Friedman. I'm going to put it right here. Okay, what happens is that, of course, when everything, you start seeing inflation, you see the rise of prices, of course. And one of the things is that people, the average worker, the blue-collar worker, everyday worker, they want, of course, their salaries to be keeping up with inflation. But at some point, the employers, the people who give the jobs, they cannot afford to increase the salaries just as everything else is increasing. So they have two choices. They either get rid of their employees or they replace it with cheaper ones. And that's when illegal migrants come handy, because they are desperate people with lower standard of living, and they're going to do everything to, make ends meet on their new country. So they are willing to take less than minimum wage or the standard wage for any given industry. So they're going to work harder for less money. And this is very encouraged for the Western nations. So politicians basically use illegal migrants as one way to, blame inflation. It's their blame, the politicians' blame. They spend a lot. They do a lot of fiscal spending, and also they printed a lot of money in order to cover the fiscal deficit. And right now they need to tamper the inflation. And how they do it? They bring illegal migrants. And these illegal migrants, they have a lower price on their labor. They replace, in some cases, the jobs, mostly but are the bad jobs, the jobs that most people don't want to make. And usually are the jobs of people or low-skilled people on your home country that they don't want to go to school or they don't want to learn a skill or a trade or something of that nature, and they arrive to the let's say the Western country, and of course they take jobs because there are jobs that nobody want to do anyways, and low-paying jobs, and that's how they keep in check a little bit inflation, at least regarding services and industrial production over there on these countries. Now, you also have to remember that these people are not taking high-skilled professions because high-skilled professionals is next to impossible in order to do their professions legally on, for instance, the United States, becoming doctors or architects or engineers or lawyers, because they already have their education in other country in order to do the same thing on, let's say, the United States. They cannot do it because it's stupid legality and bureaucracy. They cannot go and do their thing, so they pick a third country or just try to improve their situation on their home country. And that's why you still have very high price lawyers, accountants, dentists, and so on your home, but the low cheap labor is coming and coming and coming to the country in order to reduce inflation. But depending on the sector, inflation is going to keep increasing. For instance, in healthcare, because in healthcare, it's legally impossible for someone from outside the United States to become a doctor or a dentist, but your waiter, your gardener, your factory worker, your farm worker, doesn't matter, they're illegal, they're going to put it anyways, construction worker, but you're going to have in those tranches, you're not going to see as much inflation, but on, let's say, healthcare or IT, you're going to see a bunch of inflation because you still have to pay a bunch of money to the local high-end worker or the few illegal migrants that can make throughout the bureaucratic nuances and nonsense in order to become, legally migrants and legally employees on these high-end sectors of the economy. And that's why you see a lot of inflation on these sectors, high-end sectors, and a little bit less inflation on the lower sectors of the economy.
Thank you for watching Venezuela Insider. Please like, share, and subscribe. Follow us on social media. If you want to work with us, VenezuelaInsider.com. Thanks again and have a nice day.